Good morning.
Howdy. Hello.
That's what you look when you showered. Guess it was bound to happen someday. I don't know. I just think this is the first time I see you with wet hair.
Is it sexy?
You look like a monkey. So take that however. I guess it really depends on the people. Some people would take that as a compliment, others as an insult.
It's the perfect reaction.
I was just continuing the theme we started this morning. Well, I started, I guess.
Man, you feeling any better?
Somewhat. Yeah. My nose isn't running anymore. It's kind of slow jogging now.
Mm.
And my
Excuse me.
sneezed this morning. One of my ears unblocked this morning, and then the other one wouldn't unblock, and I tried to unblock it, and now both of them are blocked again. So, that's life. On the plus side, that means I can't go walk 100 kilometers today, so that's good. Yeah, otherwise, overall, pretty good.
Nice.
Exhausted from yesterday, though, because I listened to the audiobook of Traffic Secrets and notes, but turns out that there was a lot of information in that book. So listening to it and taking notes took me pretty much all day. Like I had a few breaks, like I went for a walk on the beach a bit and swam a bit and spoke to Bobby for, I don't know, like 15 minutes and took maybe like half an hour, 45 minutes for lunch. Or, I mean, I don't know what time I ate, but anyway, for a meal. But I basically spent like from, I don't know, 9 till 6 p.m. minus those chunks that I told you about, just listening to the book and taking notes, and re-listening to the book and taking notes. There's so much good information in there. As I'm going through this book, it's just blowing my mind of like, he's literally walking you step by step how to build a business. So yeah, today
I need to go back through those books. I listened to the trilogy pretty shortly after I had just really started getting into online business stuff. I think it was probably around the time I met you, or maybe a little before, or maybe a little after. I'm a little fuzzy on when. But yeah, I remember listening to him and be like, this stuff is really good. And then of course I've never gone back and done anything with it. So like, oops.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. Anything can work. We just don't put the time necessary.
Yeah.
Something is coming up. That would have been funny. I mean, it would have sucked, but it would have been pretty funny. All right, let's just go with what's around me. Hold on. If I flip the camera like this, does it still work? Yes, perfect. Let me show you what's around. Can you see them?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not sure what this is an analogy for, but I'm sure we can come up with something.
Dang.
And they're there every day. Like the person who like cleans just comes every day and just like sweeps them, but every single day during the entire day, they're there, just back and forth. I don't know what they're doing, but apparently they need a crap ton of leaves to do it.
Interesting. I think I'm trying to remember. If I remember right, I
You're not
think
sure if you're trying to remember?
I'm trying to remember if I actually know what leaf cuttering is. Dude, if I remember right, there's a kind of ant that basically farms this fungus, and I think it's leaf cutters that they'll go cut little bits of leaves and then they like shred it and use it as like compost on like to give the fungus food, and then they
Huh.
somehow benefit from it. I'm not 100% sure.
That's pretty cool. It's funny because the last, I don't know, week or so, I've been kind of back and forth between different things of like, oh, I need to become super clear on what I'm doing. And it's like at the end of the day, all that matters is taking action. Like it doesn't matter what the plan is, as long as I'm consistent. And then like other times I'm like, yeah, okay, but I'm being dumb. Like I found this strategy to build a very big list very quickly that shouldn't take that much work. But instead I'm like, no, I want to learn funnels and I want to build my business and I want to launch like everything. So I'm like, but I'm like, why am I going through this trouble? There's an easy solution right in front of me. And I keep going back and forth of like, yeah, okay, easy is good, but I kind of like to make things hard. So I don't know, I keep going back and forth all the time.
Yeah, I feel like I'm struggling with something similar. Um, I've recognized that like that um everybody that I think I respect, it's like they get the worst version of me. The like my wife like sees the most of like my flaws. I think of the people that I have like screwed up and stood up the most consistently, it's like you and Felix. And then to a little extent, Brian, like the stuff that he's helping me build, it's like I'm not doing anything when he's not giving me specific stuff. And it's just sort of like I feel like in some aspects, like I'm like a little kid. I need my hand held on stuff. And I'm like, what is wrong with this? And I jump around all over the place to like, to new stuff. Like I'll spend time there, but like the people that I have consistent either some level of commitment or like relationship with, I'm like I screw that stuff up all the time. And even like with myself, like things that I say that are important to me or that I commit to, I'm like, I don't know what this block is that I'm like, once I've decided that it's important to me or that it's something that I want or need or should have or should be responsible for, it's like that somehow flags it as like run away. I don't know what the deal is. Or if it's just that those things are the things that are consistent enough for me to see the breakdown and what's actually like my flaws. I don't know.
I'm sure it could be a bunch of stuff. Maybe it's like subconsciously, if you care too much about something, then you're like, well, I don't deserve it, so let me subconsciously screw it up so I don't have it anymore, and that way I'll deserve not having it. So there
Hmm.
could be some of that. There could also be the fact that once it becomes important to you, you're like, all right, I've decided this is important to me. If I try and fail, that's gonna suck. So let's just not try instead. That way I have the
Hmm.
excuse of, oh, I never tried. That's why it didn't work. Whereas if you
Hmm.
actually try and then it fails, you're like, okay, I have to accept the fact that I tried and failed. Like I can't just brush it aside as in, oh, well, I didn't really try. And I don't know. I mean, it might be a dozen other things or something completely different. I don't know. It's like, I understand what you're going through because I tend to do the same thing. and it's frustrating. It's weird.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why I admire people like David Goggins so much.
Mm-hmm.
Like he just got to a point where he's like, I don't care if this kills me, I'm going to do it no matter what. And it's like that level of dedication and commitment is insane.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, I want to be able to do that, which is why I did the ultra marathon last year. And this is why I came up with this crazy concept yesterday of walking 100 kilometers in a day. It's like, because I know that physically I'm better at pushing my limits than I am
Mm-hmm.
in any other area of my life. So I'm like, all right, if I can master that area of my life,
Mm-hmm.
then probably going to spill over to the other areas. And I feel like,
Mm-hmm.
even though that doesn't make sense, because it's like saying that it's easier for me to walk 100 kilometers in a day than it is to just do the things I say I'm going to do sounds insane, but
Mm-hmm.
that's the truth. For me, it's easier to have a ridiculous, pointless goal like that and to just destroy my body making it happen than just doing the things that I say I'm going to do, which is crazy. Like, it's completely insane.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of frustration. It's mostly confusion. Um, I mean, very similar in the sense that like when I look at the way that my life has gone, I'm like, why does it feel like I somehow have to burn things down when they start working?
I don't know. Why do you?
If I knew the answer to that, I mean, I don't know that knowing the answer to that would make it better, but I
I
don't.
think you do know the answer. Like deep down, you know why you're doing this. You don't want to admit it, but I feel like deep down, you know, just like deep down, I know why I'm sabotaging myself.
All right, let's play 20 questions. Let's figure out the other person's sabotage.
Ooh, okay.
All
I've
right.
never played 20 questions, so you just asked any random question to try to get to the answer.
Well, the way 20 questions work is you think of something and then you ask 20 questions to try to get to it. So the way that you try, like the strategy is like, how do you weed out as many options with each question as possible? So like a lot of times you'll start with, okay, so is it like an animal? Like if it's no, then you like have just like basically plants and like minerals. So like you just try and carve out as big of a chunk as you can on this process. And so like
Okay.
if we know we're starting with ideas or unconscious blocks, it's like I don't know how you play this game, but this seems like a useful exercise.
All right.
Maybe
One,
yeah, go ahead.
um, is the reason, the cause that's blocking you, is it inside you or outside you?
Oh, it's definitely inside me.
All right. You're gonna say something before?
No, let's just go. Action. Action will.
Um, okay, so it's inside you. Is it a conscious or a unconscious part of you?
I think it's mostly unconscious, but it's probably something that's not so deeply buried. I could probably. I'm guessing it's unconscious, but it's probably not entirely. It's probably something I'm pushing away and don't want to be conscious.
All right. In that case, what don't you like to look at in yourself? Aside from your anus, because I'm assuming you don't like to look at that. So how would you look at that? Sorry, that wasn't a question. Don't answer that.
Let's see. I really don't like feeling like failure.
So then why do you keep doing this? Because every time you do this pattern, it makes you feel like a failure. So, like, does that mean like one of those two things doesn't make sense? So either you're lying to yourself and you do like to feel like a failure, or you're lying to yourself and wait, what was the other thing? Yeah, because you're like, I don't like to feel like a failure, yet you keep putting yourself in situations
Mhm.
where you end up failing. So it's like either you're a masochist or you actually do enjoy it on some level.
Mm. Yeah, I think I have an unconscious belief that I'm a failure.
Why?
I'm not. Why do I have this belief?
I mean, if you don't know, we can try exploring it a little more.
I think part of it is because that's what I heard all the time from my dad. That's what he felt like. So I feel like I really have only seen failure modeled, or like, what I was taught was failure. So I kind of believe that that's like inevitable. The like I can pick out a few different things, but yeah, I think part of it is I believe that that's all I've seen. Part of it is like I've had a couple of experiences where I felt like that validated it, so now I'm just looking for those to show up again.
Okay, so when you're talking about your dad, do you mean like he viewed you as a failure or you viewed his life as a failure in the sense that you don't want that for your life? So like which one of those two?
He would use the language like he felt, or well, like my as a kid, I perceived him having been a failure because he would say like, oh, what I really wanted to do was this, and I didn't believe in myself, so I did something else. I quit that because I didn't think I could make any money. So like I just saw this pattern of um, starting things and then like losing um, like belief in it. And so I don't know. And I haven't seen a lot of the how or the grunt work of like the stuff that he's done that was persistent. Like most of that stuff has been, it's just related to his job and something that I wasn't really interested in. So like most of the stuff that I could have learned from my dad like has been sort of outside of my field of perception.
Okay, so you learned that mindset from observing him and the things that
Hmm.
he did. Okay. So I guess subconsciously you're trying to, I mean, because most children are trying to do that. So you're
Hmm.
trying to be like him. And you're like, well, that's how
Hmm.
he was. That's how I have to be.
Mm, yeah.
So what do you think is the solution to this?
Mm. Need to give myself permission not to be my dad.
Have you ever spoken to him about this? Because a lot of the times, like when it comes to other people,
Hmm.
we interpret what they say and do in a certain way. when the
Mhm.
reality is completely different.
Yeah. I feel like, yeah, I feel like I have had a fair amount of conversations with him on this. Like, I think there's aspects of him that are very low, like very low self-esteem or belief. He's said in conversations like he's struggled a lot of his life in different areas, like with his weight, feeling like the values, like things that he believes in, he hasn't ever been able to have any influence with anybody. The people that he talks to about the stuff that he's interested in, nobody really wants to know this. Like nobody really cares. Nobody just he has only had, a couple of adult friends, most like that I have known, and he's like felt like just a lot of the little things that he has said and articulated, I feel like have been things that I um sort of subconsciously either believe about him or believe about like the way life works.
Okay. And what is your goal? Like your subconscious goal, you think? Are you trying to be like him? Are you trying to make him proud? Are you trying like what is that thing you think you're like after?
Yeah, I mean, a big part of it, I think, is just not wanting to disappoint people. You know, um, it's, some of it is just like really simple pain avoidance. Like I don't want to have the experience of disappointing people, so when I do, like I just avoid them. Um, when I, like I won't say no to things because I don't want to. Yeah, a lot of it stems from just like not wanting to feel like a disappointment.
All right. So if your goal is to like, make your father proud, what do you think he'd be more proud of? That you're just copying his pattern or that you're living beyond that and becoming something even better than that?
Oh yeah, I mean, for sure. I don't think any parent really wants their kid to be trapped in the same cycle or stuck. I think we want our kids to all like go further, be more successful, be their own person.
So then what's stopping you? Because you want to make your father proud, and the way to make him proud is to achieve more than he has.
Hmm.
So why aren't you doing it? Is it possible that you're afraid that by achieving more, you're going to make him feel like even more of a failure because you surpassed him?
Mm, it's possible. Something that came up. Stopping. I think. Okay, this is really hard to put into words. It's not super clear yet. I think I don't know the difference between what people want for me and them having expectations of me. I think I interpret everything as an expectation and that I'm somehow going to fail at whatever it is. And I think that in almost every case, whether it's people that know me really well or people that don't know me, it's like most of the time people don't really have expectations with me. I'm like bringing that to the table. And I think this belief that like I have to live up to something that like making my dad happy by surpassing what he's doing or like not making him feel worse for being successful, like different things like that. It's like I think all of that stems from interpreting like people having some sort of claim on what I do with my self, my energy, my life.
Oh, this is just reminding me of like the whole idea of we think that people are watching when in fact no one gives a fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Of like in as it comes out a lot in public of like, oh, I don't want to do this because I don't want people to judge me. Like people don't
Mm-hmm.
care. 99% of people won't even notice whatever it is you're doing that you think will
Mm-hmm.
draw attention. Those who do really don't care about you.
Yeah.
It's like we make it such a big deal, like, oh, I need to do this, and everyone's gonna like judge me or encourage me or whatever. It's like most people don't care. And the people
Mm-hmm.
that do care enough that it really doesn't matter what you do or don't do, they're gonna love you no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I think that's why we've both been leaning into this for the last few months of getting to the point where it's like we call it like, being an asshole or whatever, but it's just like getting
Mm-hmm.
to the where we're completely detached from what other people think or what we believe other people think.
Mm-hmm.
That's the freedom that we need to then go out and accomplish whatever we want.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like that's also bullshit because it's like, yeah, okay, that'll make us feel great, but we don't need that. All we need to do is
Right.
just consistent action. Like it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter how we feel. It's kind of like running as an example. It's like you get to a point where your muscles start hurting and you feel and you tell yourself like I can't keep going, but you can't. You can keep going
Mm-hmm.
like 2, 3, 4 times the distance that you thought you couldn't. And it's like it's just about taking action. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter how you feel, it doesn't matter what other people think, it does like nothing matters. At the end of the day, the only thing that does matter is action. It's like as long as we focus on the immediate action, like it really doesn't matter what we believe, what other people believe. And I think if we get to the point where we're able to consistently get ourselves to take action, we're going to start getting results and that's going to start shifting the way that we view the world.
Yeah.
It's like that's going to have an impact. And we're trying to do it the hard way. We're like, no, I got to shift my mindset so that I can then go out and do the work.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you just do the work, your mindset is going to shift by itself. You don't need to do the
Mm-hmm.
work in your mindset.
Yeah. It's like that's how you do the mindset shift.
Yeah. So I think
Okay, so I
that
guess I guess there really isn't any like, I guess what we just need is some sort of, um, like high accountability structure. That's just gonna make it like, how do we make, how do we make it so that we have to do the action? And nothing
I
else
don't
really
think
matters.
I don't think it's possible to do that. I think we just need to to cough and everything will be good. No, I think we just need to decide. Like I'm becoming this type of person. So as an example, like I was re-listening, I still haven't finished it because I've been switching to the Russell Brunson books, but as I was starting to re-listen to the David Goggins book,
Mhm,
and he was like, I forget exactly how he said it, but what he was saying was like once he made the decision to become the toughest man on earth,
mhm,
like that was it. Like it wasn't about the accomplishment, it wasn't about the challenge. It was like every
mhm.
single time he takes action, it brings him a little closer to that goal. And a
Yeah.
lot of the times, like he would fail, but it doesn't matter because he's like, every action that I take, whether it's success or failure, draws me closer to that. And he had that one singular focus, and that's what resulted in everything that he accomplished. And I think like we need our own version of that. So for me, it's like badass because for him, it's like toughest of like literally physically pushing himself to such extremes that
Mhm.
gets to the point where he believes that he is the toughest man on earth. Whether it's true or not is
Yeah.
unimportant because he believes it. And for me, it's
Mhm.
about being like badass, not like physically. Like, yes, I enjoy pushing myself physically, but also like badass can be like, hey, I built $1 million business in 30
Mhm.
days. Like badass in the sense that everyone, people, like everything that I do, people are like in awe of it. Not because I
Mhm.
need other people's approval, just because like that's the kind of life I want to live. And that's why, like, the other day when I started randomly running and ended up running like 12 kilometers, it's like that's what I was leaning into. That feeling of
Mhm.
like, okay, I'm leaning into that. And I think that's why the idea for walking 100 kilometers in a day came up because it's like physically is a good way to like test myself and to show myself that, hey, this
Mhm.
is the kind of person that I am. And I think we just need to start this process with what we know best. And what I know best is physical challenge.
Mhm. I have something coming up right now. I'm like kind of getting in flow real quick.
Sure.
Um, I'm just gonna jot this down and kind of like, so I want to do a little video talking about like and processing this out with the other people around me, and not to like create any action or get them to do anything, but I just like want to provide more visibility in my experience and then see what happens. But I want to talk about who I want to be. I'm going to tell the story about meeting Dane, being the universe. All right, so that's who I want to be. All right. And then number 3 is I'm not that yet, according to all of these metrics. So what does that feel like? What does the feeling of changing feel like? Expectations. Um, 5. Okay, so What do I learn from that? Something needs to change.
I mean, I could be wrong, but I feel like you're going through the same old pattern of like, oh, I need to do this. So let's come up with a plan. Let's detail everything. But I feel like at
Mhm.
the end of the day, all you need is that one singular statement of like, this is what I want to do. Like, this is the person I want to become. And once you're clear on that, I feel like everything else is kind of gonna fall into
Yeah.
place.
Okay, so why is it that I feel like everything is hard?
I came up with a joke, but I'm like, yeah, you know what? Screw it.
Like,
Because you don't have direct knowledge, it's
why do I
normal.
feel like the things, simple things have to be complicated? I don't understand. For me, it seems like that's just like it is the case. But like what you just said is like just having the statement of what you decide, like that could be easy. And maybe that's the first step, and then the other stuff can come like not as something you have to do, but something you do because of that statement. I don't know.
But I feel like you don't need to know. Like 99% of the time, we don't need to know. We want to know. We feel like in order to take the right action, we need to know everything. But it's like, just take action. So it's like, I feel like we need like 1% of what we think we need. So we're like, oh, I want to do this thing. So I need to do all this research and come up with this elaborate plan and do everything. It's like, what we actually need to do is just get started.
Mhm. Okay, so how can we stop needing to know?
I think it's human nature. I think we're never going to stop. And I think that's going to be very valuable because
Mm,
we're going to learn a lot. And then as we're learning, we can identify, I need to do this now. I need to do that now.
mhm,
But I think it's about like avoiding detailed plans.
mhm,
And it's like for me, like I like the idea of having this like one singular focus or mission or like that ties everything into it. So it's like, hey,
uh-huh,
this is my goal in life. I'm trying to become that person. And everything that I do in business and relationships and in everything is
mhm,
leading me towards that. And it's like that just makes things so much simpler because the question is always like, is this going to lead me towards my goal? Yes or no?
yeah,
Kind of like, I think that's why my life got so much simpler last like a year and a half ago or 2 years ago. I've lost track. But like when I set myself a 20-year goal to become the world's best motivational speaker, that was so specific
mhm,
that it gave me that one driving force of this is what my entire life is about.
mhm,
Everything that I'm doing needs to bring me closer to that goal. And even though I realize like, okay, that's not really what I'm after, like having that focus, like that laser focus
mhm.
gave me so much freedom because I could stop doing every single thing that wasn't driving me or bringing me to that point. And for now, like I don't have like a specific statement, but it's really like living into that, like I want to be the world's like most badass person. And it's like
Mhm,
that's not really it, but that's kind of like leaning into the feeling of what I'm looking at and looking for.
mhm,
And it's like just that has helped me a lot lately in the last few weeks.
mhm.
So what are you after? What do you want to accomplish? Like who do you want to become?
Uh, what's coming up is I'm not allowed to want to be who I want to be.
Why not?
I feel like the times that it mattered a lot to me, like I got hurt.
So you're afraid that if you allow yourself to care about this, to have this like very clear
Yeah.
goal, and it's like the pattern is going to repeat itself.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, okay, obviously this is something that you already know, but sometimes it's good to be reminded. You realize by not allowing yourself to even try, you are automatically failing at every single turn. Whereas if you try, at least there's a chance that you'll succeed.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, do you prefer the certainty of failure or the uncertainty of potential success?
Yeah. I want to succeed. Like I want to become that version of myself that I have only seen, but nobody else has. Um,
But how bad do you want to become that? Like, to use a familiar example, like, are you willing to go through 10,000 failures to eventually create your light bulb? Like, do you have that level of commitment? Or will you try and then after 3 failures, you're like, screw this, I'm done. Let's
mm,
just settle for what I have now. Ooh, this reminds me of something. This concept of settling, which has occurred to me multiple times in my life. It's like, I've always felt like there was this greatness inside me, like I was destined to accomplish something
mhm.
amazing. And a lot of the times I'd fail and then settle for my life. And then I'd feel guilty for that because it's like I'm settling for life, but the life that I have is better than a lot of people's. And I
Yeah.
feel like kind of self-entitled and like a piece of shit for thinking like I'm settling for this life when most people
Uh-huh.
would like kill for that kind of life.
Mhm. I need
So
to
it's
get
kind of
going in
like,
about five minutes. Just give me a heads up.
sure. Um,
Hmm.
anyway, I don't know what my point was with that, but
Yeah, I think there is some element of that. Like I I have these external belief systems that I've kind of adopted that's sort of like everybody else has to come first. Like it's like it isn't sort of like you come last in a sense. And
which is dumb because we know that in order to, I mean, that if we become who we're trying to become, we're going to be able to help the people around us so much more than by holding back and putting them first.
yeah.
It's like by trying to be selfless, we're actually being selfish.
Hmm. Hmm.
All right, so in the few minutes we have left, can you try to describe to me in as simple words as possible who you're trying to become? You said like you want to become that version of yourself that no one else has seen. But how, like, what is that version of yourself?
I think at the simplest level, it's like I want to be the guy that everybody likes and is glad that is in their life. I think a lot of the stuff that I want that's creative is like it's as close to like a fundamental part of who I am as you can get, but I think those things came out of like, oh, this is one of the ways I can get that. It's like to get people to like me, get people to validate that I'm amazing. And like really honestly, I don't care about the rest of the stuff. Like being famous, being super successful, having a lot of money. Like if everybody just said, you're fine, like what I know about you and how I experience you is amazing and I don't need you to change, like that's all I really want. And I think everything else kind of stems from this like, well, people don't want me like that, so I have to change.
It's funny how your ultimate goal is to realize or to accept the fact that you already are who you want to be. It's like in order to become that, you don't actually need to do anything. You just need to accept who you are.
I don't know how to do that.
Oh, damn.
I mean, I guess now that I know that, I can just start saying it and like put into action whatever I guess might work. But like, and just being in action, I think is better than being at rest. But yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. It's just
I
like,
just realized
how
something.
can I do what I need to do right now as a way to accept who I am?
It's funny because you describe like you just want everyone to accept you as you.
Mhm,
And it's like I feel like most people already do and already have. The only one that hasn't is you.
mhm.
So what do you think you need to do? Do you think you need to just accept yourself as the way you are now? Or do you need to do such amazing things that you have no choice but to accept how awesome you are?
That's a really good question. I think the I think the drive will never go away. And it's just gonna have to be a choice of every single day and be like, it doesn't matter what I'm on my way to. I'm okay with me today as I am. And let today play out knowing that I'm okay. So nobody expects anything of me. I don't need to expect anything of myself. I'm free to do and create and be there for other people because I'm fine. I, I think I don't know. I think there's always gonna be some aspect of me that's gonna be like, oh, it would be really cool to do this or do that. And I need to do it from a place of I'm gonna do that because I can and because it would be amazing, not because I need to do that or else I'm not good enough. Because I think that drives like 90% of what I do.
It's funny because I feel like subconsciously things like that were like, well, I can't accept myself the way I am because if I do that, then I'm settling and I'm never going to evolve. But I think it's like if you accept yourself the way you are now, you're accepting also the part of yourself that does want to grow, that does want to evolve. And it's like once you give yourself permission to be only who you are now, then you have the freedom to go out and do whatever you want without having the pressure of like succeeding. You're like, I'm
Mhm,
already okay with who I am now. I'm doing this because I want to do it. It really doesn't matter what the outcome is.
mhm.
Ah, shit. Damn it. As we were talking through everything, I realized I think my goal is I want to impress myself. Like it feels good to impress others, but at the end of the day, like I really don't care. I want to impress myself. And it's like
Mm.
when I do insane stuff like try to run an ultra marathon, it's like, yeah, I impress myself when I do that.
Mm.
Shit. Is that a good or a bad thing?
I think it kind of stems like from a similar space. It's like once you realize that that's part of who you are, like you have to just be okay with that. And so it's like, so if I'm gonna do something to impress myself, like that's that's a good thing to try and do. Or I can say like, is it something I really need to do? Like maybe I don't need to do that thing. I'm doing it from a drive. Like, well, if I'm already impressed with myself, that frees me from having to do something. It's really not the right thing. So it's sort of like, I don't know. I need to go, but like I feel like we're starting to ask the right questions, and this has been really helpful. I'm gonna have to chew on this. I might I might text you later or like message you later, like as I kind of process things.
Yeah, sure.
Um, so, and if anything comes up on your end, like I'd love to hear it too.
Oh, dude, I just realized today is Father's Day, right?
Mhm.
So, how about your Father's Day gift to yourself is you accept yourself?
Mm, thank you for that.
I feel like you're talking to yourself, which is awesome.
Man, it happens to me a lot, talking to myself. I love you, man.
Love
Really
you too.
grateful for you being in my life.
Me too. We
Mm,
really are awesome.
we really are. I think that's what I need to learn. It's like how can I turn around and like the way that I have come to value and love others, do that for myself. All right. We'll see ya.
All right. Enjoy your day.
You too.